that clap is literally me pretending that I know exactly what I'm doing. This clap is the epitome of me trying to get my way through life. Hi, and welcome to episode 31 of the Girls to the Front podcast. This podcast has now got more episodes than I have years of my life, which is a very convoluted way of saying I never thought I'd make 31 episodes of this podcast. Not because I'm not capable, but because I don't know. I just never thought I'd end up having 31 episodes of my own podcast where I sit and I talk with myself for 30 minutes or so each week. So that's a pretty good milestone, isn't it? 31 episodes, more episodes than I am old. I hope you've all had a fantastic week and that you've been doing lots of stuff that you love. The weather has definitely catfished us all into thinking that it was going to be nice and this was the start of spring, because today it started raining. So apologies, but you may have the rain on the roof sound in the background of this. I hope not. Just as a reminder that it's raining, if you didn't already know. I've had an okay week. I went to see a band that I recently started loving, and that was incredible. I spent the whole time just grinning my face off, which was amazing. My heart felt very full afterwards, but yeah, it was awesome to see them. And also there's something incredible about seeing a band or an artist or someone or something that you really, really love, and them looking so humbled and grateful that you're there watching. I think I've up until like the last 2 years, if I ever go see live music, it would have been like huge bands that are like 600 meters away from you, even if you're at the closest point. Like, you're never actually near them. In like big venues. And up until 2 years ago, I'd never actually experienced what it's like to see artists like super close and being able to like read every expression of emotion on their face is like, yeah, it feels huge. And then going to see High Vis and then seeing like how like truly humbled and grateful they are that they've managed to sell out this show in like a really small venue, and like you literally can see like him trying to process all these emotions. And yeah, it just felt like, I don't know, it feels really like special to be in that space with them while they discuss that. And yeah, so that was incredible. So if you haven't listened to High Vis already, I would highly recommend going and listening to them. I did actually recommend one of their songs on the podcast episode. So if you didn't go listen to that, go back and listen to that. I think it might be episode 29. So yeah, that's my week in a nutshell. But so I'm gonna talk today about an infinite feedback loop that I'm currently experiencing. So welcome to 30 minutes of me counselling myself or having some level of therapy by myself. So I have been trying to like not acknowledge it. I've been trying to like push it to the side, but I am definitely in a feedback loop of negativity right now, and I'm trying really hard to like wade my way out of it, but it's becoming like really difficult, and I am now starting to realize that like it's like affecting loads of stuff. So for some context. So basically, the last few weeks, I feel like I've been like the walking epitome of the Taylor Swift song. Like, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. It's Antihero, if you want to go listen to it. I am reading like every single situation and every kind of outcome from a situation, or every kind of outcome from something that's happening in my life, as me being the reason that it hasn't gone the way it's wanted to, or that I've had some negative feedback in my life. I'm seeing that it's all down to me being the problem. And like, for various reasons, my default, which I would consider myself like a super optimistic person, like I consider myself to be a blue sky thinker. I am always solutions focused. But for various reasons, my default over the last few weeks has been to assess situations and then frame myself as the common problem catalyst. When I was doing the like at the front, so every Monday I do a check-in on the Instagram, and I try and get people to have some like level of accountability of how they're going to put themselves to the front that week. Like 2 weeks ago, I said that I had a lot of feelings and that I was the girl from Mean Girls. If you've never seen Mean Girls, go watch it. But the scene where the girl comes in and says, I have a lot of feelings, and then they're like, she doesn't even go here. That's how I've felt. Like I felt like I had lots of, and at the time I was like, I think this is just because I'm coming to the end of my cycle. My period is literally just around the corner. So obviously I'm going to be feeling lots of things around anxiety and questioning a lot of things, and my emotions are going to be an all-time high. And my default is going to be to like almost want to cry at everything. But there were also like lots of situations going on in my life, lots of like transitions of people coming into my life and leaving my life, which I didn't quite realize was happening. And on some level I had kind of guessed that people were trying to like leave or trying to distance themselves or were trying to like enter my life. And I don't think I had it. I didn't think I'd actually acknowledged it. And then obviously that having to acknowledge it in that week, because it had been presented to me on like a really like pretty obvious platform that this was going on. I then had to like confront it and process it. And my immediate default reaction was to be like, well, I'm obviously the problem in this. Like it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And instead of having like a growth mindset of it, which I promote all the time and talk about like fail fast, fail often, learning from your mistakes, doing things, and then kind of not seeing like failure or mistakes as a negative thing. My brain has just been stuck in this infinite loop of, well, you're the problem. So what, like there's no, yeah, like you are just the problem. And trying to find a way out of that has been like really challenging for me. And it's also been like just a really challenging like few weeks in terms of having to sit with like the whole thing of being like, oh, we're going to question like all your optimism and now place you like at the center of potentially being like the problem basically. Yeah. So there's like, it's not just necessarily like people coming in and exiting my life. There's also been like loads of stuff in my adult job, so in my 9 to 5, that have been problems or have been situations where I have maybe contributed to them not going as positively as they could, but I have just situated myself as like the central problem, and I've overanalyzed like what I could have done to make it better. I've like really been incredibly hard on myself in terms of like, well, actually there's loads of stuff that you could have done. You didn't pay attention to detail, all this sort of stuff, which is actually all other stuff. It like relates to other stuff in my life, like not paying attention, not seeing signs, not anticipating things coming up and all that sort of stuff, where I then feel like that's led to me letting people down, or me being the problem, me being like this central thing that has like dispersed like levels of negativity and has caused like interactions and actions to happen as a result of just dropping the ball. Like, is probably the easiest way to explain it. Like, for whatever reason, like, and knowing that I am not the sort of person that would not be attentive or would drop the ball, like, yeah, that's been like really hard. And then, so this is a very long way of basically explaining that there's been lots of stuff going on, work related, personally related, lots of stuff that I have just literally now convinced myself that the number one common denominator in all of this is me. And I'm the reason that things are going wrong. I'm the reason that then the outcomes are not what I was hoping for or anticipating. And it's been really difficult. Like, it's been really, really hard. And I think I'm boring certain people in my life to death of me questioning loads of stuff and me getting like quite emotional about it and like asking people if like I'm a bad person and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been like super, super challenging. And for like the sake of being authentic and honest, I feel like I do need to talk about it. But yeah, so I'm now in this cycle, and I'm like now I'm like hyper aware that I'm searching for negatives. So even in in environments where I know things are going really well, I'm now seeking out the one thing that could go wrong, or I'm even like going back to like anticipating, like going back to almost being like paralyzed, but being like, yeah, but what if that does go wrong? Like, what happens, you know, what if I put myself out there and it's not received or anticipated or like reciprocated in the way that I was hoping it to be? Because like a lot of the stuff that's led up to these feelings has been because I've put myself out there like so vulnerably. Is that a word? I've put myself out there in a really vulnerable way, and it hasn't had the feedback that I thought it was going to. And yeah, I'm now like I'm almost trying to like anticipate that happening so that I don't necessarily do it. I'm trying to be like, I've gone, instead of being the person which I think is what's magic about me, is that I wear my heart on my sleeve. You can see all of my emotions. I talk and I'm authentic. I feel like I've actually become a little bit more guarded, which I don't associate with myself at all. And like trying to rationalize all of this and trying to like talk about it, trying to like process it in my mind has just been really difficult. Like, I've gone from being a pretty rational person to being like pretty irrational with some of my thoughts. Like, so here's an example. So yesterday was Tuesday. I had girls to the front in the gym. I had lower than usual, like I had less girls than usual turn up. So my now irrational thought is they're all never coming back and it's because of me. And that is obviously not the case. You know, there are millions of reasons. The traffic was really bad yesterday and everyone told me, but I still was like, that can't be it. It's me. You know, it was Valentine's Day. People want to spend it with people that they love. You know, school, like there's loads of things that were going on. And I was just like, no, it's me. It's definitely me. Yeah. And it's, yeah. So trying to just find rationalize anything has been really hard, and I've been struggling, to be honest, at like believing. It's really hard because like what am I trying to say? It's just been a really like difficult 2 weeks, and like I have been so confident in like what I'm doing is the right thing, but the last few weeks have like spun me out on a level of being like, well, maybe it isn't the right thing. And then that's led to me having like massive imposter syndrome of like, well, am I actually the right person to be doing it? Because there are certain situations right now that are presenting me with the counter narrative of that. Like, yeah. So yeah, I'm now like at a point where I'm like, right, no, like enough is enough. My feelings are valid. Feelings are always valid. I would never invalidate anyone's feelings. And I would never say that I'm just going to ignore them and carry on, because that's just not who I am. But I'm now at a point where I'm recognizing that these things are valid, but I need to start looking at ways to like interrupt that cycle. So the one kind of epiphany that I had this morning when I was thinking about this podcast episode was like, how I've like really lacked being present, because my mind has been occupied with just thinking about the situations that have led up to me feeling like this, or I've been occupied by thinking about like what ifs. I've been trying to like play out like worst case scenarios in my mind, which has led to me not being present at certain times when I should have been. And not being present has led to me not necessarily seeing the positives from those interactions or seeing the positives elsewhere. So I need to like push myself to be more present again, in everything that I do in life. So not just kind of in my one-to-one interactions with people, but also like whatever I'm doing, I need to be present in that moment. I need to do something that allows me not to think about anything else. I almost need to like switch off and just be in that moment. So in Girls to the Front, when I'm delivering a session in person, I need to be there. I need to not be thinking about but so-and-so might not have shown up tonight because they think that this is like, that they think it's like, I can't be thinking like that. I have to be like, no, like be present, look at the impact you're making right now with the people in the room. Like stop thinking about other people elsewhere. Think about right here, right now, like what you're doing in work. I need to be thinking about what is the positives from what I'm doing right now. Don't think about the negatives. Don't think about the thing that I messed up on a few weeks ago and how I could have done it better. I've done it now. I need to move on. I need to grow from it. I need to learn from it. And I need to put some positivity back into the work that I'm currently doing. So yeah, I think I need to, that's like one thing, is just being present in the stuff that I'm doing and stop the whole like what if scenario of like catastrophizing every single situation. Like it's even got to a point where I'm like, oh, I can't, what if I put this out? What if I, like this podcast this morning, I was sat being like, what if I put this out and someone comes back and says, oh, what, but X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, no. Like my whole ethos in life is put stuff out, be authentic. Like there will be people that like you, there will be people that don't like you, there will be people that believe in you, and there'll be people that don't believe in you. But if you believe in yourself, like that is, if you believe that what you're doing is important, then you should just be doing it. So yeah, I need to go, like, just go back to that whole, like, being present and thinking that if I believe it, then it's worthy, and I need to continue, like, pushing along that. I also, like, need to harness some of, like, the compassion that I show other people. Like, it frustrates me that, like, in the last few weeks, it's like, I don't think other people have shown me as much compassion as I've shown them. But my brain has been to, like, show them even more compassion and to, like, try and find ways that even, like, try and find ways to, like, empathize with them and remove my own feelings, which is actually quite bizarre when you think about it. Like, I'm showing myself so little. I sometimes know that I've done all I can, but then I'm like, well, you know, I'm just going to just criticize myself because I want to show them even more compassion than I've already showed them. So I need to do that to myself. I need to treat myself with kindness. I need to understand myself. I need to acknowledge that, you know, sometimes people make mistakes. Sometimes people aren't perfect, and that's totally fine. And therefore, I can practice that belief on myself. I thought about it in terms of, like, if someone else was delivering me this conversation. So I'm someone else, I'm talking to myself, and they're explaining all their feelings, all their self-doubt, all the fact that they're considering them, that they're the problem, and all this sort of stuff. How I would react to that, and my main reaction would be to say, like, show yourself some kindness. Your feelings are valid, but we all make mistakes. We need to have a growth mindset. We need to move on. We need to, like, put yourself out there still. You know, this is, like, the most authentic version of you when you're, like, questioning yourself, and the stuff that people relate to. Like, people don't relate to perfection all the time. Like, people relate to the feelings that aren't necessarily, like, Instagram worthy, I guess. So yeah, I just need, like, being kinder, thinking about the conversations that I would potentially have with the girls, and if the girls were saying this to me, what I would say back. I just think this is a good practice in general, is the idea that if your brain was another human communicating to you, you would be like, stop. And you would say things to interrupt that cycle of negativity. But when it's your own brain, you don't do that. You let it go full, like, both barrels, as negative and as horrible. And you say the worst things to yourself. But if it was the other way around, if it was someone else saying it to you, you would immediately stop someone. So practicing that a bit more, and, like, doubling down on the fact of, like, compassion isn't just an emotion that you can outwardly express. Compassion is also something that you can internally show yourself. And we need a lot more, like, self-compassion, especially as girls, like, being able to acknowledge that we aren't perfect. We don't live these lives that are completely, like, uncritical. Like, we do need to, like, we all make mistakes, we all do things, and just being able to be like compassionate about that. Yeah, so that's like another thing that I'm gonna do. And yeah, I just like, even this now, like talking about it and like documenting it and putting it out there is already making me feel a little bit lighter. I have been speaking about, I do have like really good support networks, but sometimes it just feels good to just say it to myself out loud, and then that like really helps me process stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm, that's I think that's, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's like being present and being compassionate. I need to, and also like listening to the universe. Like I've stopped allowing myself to like see. So I'm like a true believer that like if in moments of like self-doubt, or in moments where you are considering that something might not be right, the universe will present you with stuff. So it sound when I say that out loud, it makes me sound like I'm like quite spiritual, but I'm not. Basically, I think you seek out signs anyway, don't you? Like you seek out stuff, you seek out validation all the time. But there are certain situations where I do believe the universe will give you feedback, and I need to listen to that more. So, like I need to listen to the messages that people are sending to me just in every day, like not even in response to like whatever has like led me to this cycle of like negative feedback, but just listening to all those other conversations, like looking at what's going on right in front of me. It feeds back into being present, just like looking at what the universe is telling me and all that sort of stuff, because I know that I'm doing a good job. I know that I work really hard, and that's all I can ask of myself. So yeah. Okay, so I rambled on quite a lot, and I don't actually think I made much sense, but yeah, that's how I've been feeling at the moment. Like just Dags is wandering around like no one's business today in here. Sorry, so now you've got the rain and you've got my dog's footsteps just in the background. But yeah, I feel like it's important to say how you're actually feeling, and I want other people to know that everyone feels self-doubt, and everyone does consider themselves a problem, and everyone does always look at the ways that they might have contributed negatively, but sometimes you just have to show yourself compassion, and you have to be kinder to yourself and play out why your brain is saying certain things and play out that negative feedback. Like a good practice might even be to like say what your brain is saying like out loud, or like say, or like write that down and then look at it and be like, that is a horrific thing to be saying to yourself. You would never in a million years say that to someone in your life. So like the fact that you just sit with it and you communicate that to you on a like loop to your own brain is horrible. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know, like I am always full of feelings and emotions. But I like to think that most of my feelings and emotions are based off like somewhere, like they're based off like some level of positivity, or they're based off, I don't know, like their underlying tones are often positive. Like, sometimes like I feel overwhelmed, but I feel overwhelmed by like the potential of stuff, or I feel overwhelmed, or yeah, I just like, it's always based in a foundation of like, yeah, but this is going well, or like this, I am working like this because I want this to go well. But the last few weeks has been not like that at all. It's been like, but this isn't going well. Like, who are you kidding? Like, why are you pretending that this is going well? Like, what are you doing? And that's been like, what's been most difficult for me is feeling negativity and like imposter syndrome and all of those things at the same time in like a melting pot that's just like bubbled over and is like a constant fuel in my brain. So it's been I don't know, I feel like now that I've like sat with it and processed it, I feel a lot lighter, But yeah, I think I'm just going to practice and double down on like being present in situations and like not necessarily always looking for the negative, but like maybe if there's a negative, I have to look for a positive in that situation. Or like, yeah, like a good thing that happened. So yeah, I'm being way more compassionate to myself. I don't do that. I'm really hard on myself. My expectations of myself are like wild on some level. Like the to-do list that I set myself and like the expectations I have on like what I should be able to give to other people in my life are like next level sometimes. But that's my love language. Like my love language is like actions. My love language is not through like hugs and kisses or anything like that. It is literally like by doing stuff for other people. And my expectations around what I can complete, not just for myself to allow myself to live day to day, but also my expectations on like what I can complete for other people to show them that I love and that I care are also like on the same level. So yeah, it does get challenging and I can wear myself into the ground. But I think when that's questioned or like when that's thrown into like, yeah, when that's thrown into a debate of like, but do you actually do that? Or have you like gaslit yourself into thinking that you're doing a really good job or like that you're actually trying or that you're actually caring or putting people in front? I think that that's when it becomes like, for me, I think that's been the hardest part of it all is like the questioning of whether what I think is my lived reality, like having that questioned. But yeah, it starts today with being way more compassionate to myself and being way kinder. And yeah, I'm going to be way more present in situations and I'm going to acknowledge and celebrate the positives as much. No, not as much, even more than the negatives that I've been feeling. I'm going to try and like address the negatives. My feelings are valid. That's fine. But then I'm going to allow the positives to come to the surface as opposed to like the other way around. So yeah, that's that's today's episode. If you take nothing from it, like if you don't relate to like my kind of feelings, if you don't relate to the situation or like if you don't relate to that, take nothing away apart from being way more compassionate to yourself and being kinder to yourself and being present and acknowledging that while you're being present, amazing stuff is playing out in front of you. Even tiny little things, the conversation that you're currently having, which might be helping someone infinitely, the cup of tea that you've just made for someone, the cup of tea you've just made for yourself because it's the best cup of tea you've ever made for yourself. Like, be way more in the moment, being present, doing day to day, as opposed to thinking about like the what ifs or the thing that happened a week ago or the I made myself this really good cup of tea, but 2 weeks ago I made someone a shit cup of tea, and I think that they're still thinking about that. I think they're still holding that against me. So I'm going to dwell on that. Like, take nothing away from it. Compassion, kindness, and being present. So yeah. So on that note, I'm going to give you my song recommendation for this week. And actually, the more I dived into why I was drawn to this song and why I was going to make this song recommendation, the more it made a lot more sense. So, my song recommendation this week is Grounds by Idles. It feels like a really big song. Like everything about it just feels like really big, like the intro, everything. And if we know nothing about me, it's how much I love a big song. So first of all, there's a lyric in it that I absolutely love, and it makes me want to throw shit around or whatever I'm doing. It makes me want to stop. But the line in it is, I'll say what I mean, do what I love, and fucking send it. Like, in everything that's been going on and everything that feels really difficult in my brain, that line interrupts all of that negative feedback and fucking hits me like a ton of bricks, because it is basically talking about like, believe in yourself, do what you do, and just fucking go all in, like double down on it, because if you believe in it, do it. So that line was the first thing that I was like, okay, yeah, this is why I'm drawn to this song. Oh, and then I went to double check that was the lyrics and that I hadn't just made up lyrics in my mind. They are the right lyrics, and that was the lyrics I thought they were. On Spotify, they have like storyboards of certain songs, or they have like storylines of certain songs. So I think you can see like the journey of the artist writing it or whatever. So then I was like, oh, what's this? I'll take a look. So then there's a storyline to this song, and I was like, oh my fucking God, this is why this song has spoken to me on new levels. So the storyboard literally says, when everything clicks into joint and you feel love for yourself, the shame and apologies wither away like a stale smell out of the window, and that window is you. That is you being and doing what you love. So, of course, this was the song that I've been listening to on a loop that has made my brain feel so much better. So, yeah, put this song on, put it on really loud, and let all of your self-doubt and all of the worries about whether being you is a good thing or not, let it all fucking wither away. So yeah, I'm going to leave you on that note. Enjoy!